First of all, I've missed you. Truly. I know I've been quiet for a while, and I appreciate every single one of you who stuck around, who checked in, who kept the conversation alive in the comments. Life happens, platforms shift, things move, but we are back, and there has never been a more important moment to be back than right now. Because this week, inside the High Court, something happened that cut straight to the heart of what Prince Harry has been saying for years. And whether you support him or not, whether you agree with every decision he's made or not, what unfolded in that courtroom forces a serious conversation about the machinery of Britain's tabloid royal ecosystem. This is not about gossip. This is not about personalities. This is about systems. At the centre of the hearing was Rebecca English, royal editor of the Daily Mail, who denied ever using a private investigator to unlawfully obtain information about the Duke of Sussex or his former girlfriends. During Prince Harry's case against Associated Newspapers Limited, emails were shown in court that raised difficult questions about how certain details were obtained. One email from 2007 included flight numbers and seat details concerning Chelsea Davy, who was in a relationship with Prince Harry at the time. The message reportedly asked whether someone could be planted next to her. That level of detail is not casual reporting. That is granular, personal, intimate information. And here is where the broader issue begins. How does a newspaper gain access to someone's seat number on a commercial flight? That question doesn't belong to fan wars or stan culture. It belongs in a serious legal courtroom, which is exactly where it now sits. The suggestion raised by Harry's counsel was that this type of information may have been obtained through blagging, unlawfully accessing confidential data. That is an allegation. It is being tested in court. It is denied by the journalist involved. But here's the deeper point. The very existence of these emails exposes something about the culture surrounding royal reporting. For years, coverage of Prince Harry did not stop at public engagements or official speeches. It followed girlfriends, it followed holidays, it tracked private travel, it zoomed into relationships, it dissected emotions, it analysed body language, it built narratives around youth, rebellion, grief, anger. A young man who lost his mother in one of the most infamous media-related tragedies in modern history grew up inside a press culture that treated his private life as public property. And that is the context you cannot ignore. Because this case is not emerging from nowhere. It is the continuation of a decades-long tension between the British tabloid press and members of the royal family, particularly Harry. Remember, this is the same press environment that was engulfed in the phone hacking scandal, the same ecosystem that saw entire newspapers shut down, the same culture that Parliament had to investigate. So when Harry stands in court and challenges the way information was gathered about him, he is not inventing a conflict. He is stepping into a documented history. Now, Rebecca English denied wrongdoing. She said she did not request unlawfully obtained information. She described the suggestion of planting someone next to Chelsea Davy as absolutely shameful and said she did not act on it. The court will weigh that testimony. But what cannot be ignored is how normalised, hyper-intrusive reporting became. Why was a young woman's airline seat of interest to national media? Why was her physical proximity to strangers on a plane a topic of strategy? Why was private movement treated like public entitlement? That is the culture Prince Harry has been pushing back against. For years, critics have painted him as overly sensitive, hostile to the press, unable to play the game. But what if the game itself is the problem? Let's zoom out. Royal correspondents often describe themselves as insiders, travelling with the family, building relationships with palace aides, cultivating access. That access can create powerful storytelling. It can also blur boundaries. When access is currency, competition becomes fierce. When competition becomes fierce, lines can blur. Again, the court will determine legal facts. But morally, ethically, the spectacle of intimate travel details appearing in inboxes should give anyone pause. And here's where it becomes personal for Harry supporters. In 2020, Rebecca English wrote about having followed Harry's life for 15 years. She described observing him up close, reflecting on his personality. That type of long-term coverage creates familiarity, even a sense of ownership. But familiarity is not consent. Proximity is not permission. Observation is not entitlement. 2 years later, after Queen Elizabeth II's passing, a tweet was posted suggesting Harry and Meghan had not greeted mourners during a Windsor walkabout. Video footage later circulated widely, showing them engaging with members of the public. The tweet was deleted. Moments like that matter, because they shape perception. They create narratives that travel far beyond corrections. And when Harry speaks about adversarial framing, he is speaking from lived experience inside this ecosystem. In 2022, English publicly rejected claims that negative stories about Meghan were fed by palace sources. She criticised Harry's hostility toward the press. Again, that is her perspective. But here's the larger issue. If a member of the royal family believes they have been subjected to unlawful information gathering, and they bring that claim before the High Court, that is not hostility. That is accountability through legal channels. It is the most orderly, structured way possible to resolve a dispute. Harry did not shout on a street corner. He filed a case. That distinction matters. Now zoom even further out. The British public deserves a free press. Investigative journalism is vital. Holding power to account is essential. But a young prince's girlfriend's airline seat? That is not holding power to account. That is intrusion. The High Court proceedings are about whether that intrusion crossed legal lines. The evidence will be weighed carefully. But culturally, this week already feels like a reckoning. Because it shines a spotlight not just on one inbox, but on an entire reporting culture that thrived on proximity to vulnerability. Harry has often been framed as disruptive for challenging that culture, but maybe disruption is necessary when a system resists self-reflection. Maybe discomfort is part of reform. And maybe, just maybe, this moment is bigger than one reporter or one publisher. It is about boundaries. It is about grief exploited. It is about young adulthood lived under surveillance. It is about whether we, as a society, accept that certain lines should not be crossed even in pursuit of a headline. The court's judgment will come later this year. But the conversation is happening now. And here at Sussex Insights, we are going to follow it carefully, fairly, and unapologetically in defence of dignity and accountability. Because supporting Prince Harry does not mean ignoring facts. It means insisting on them. It means believing that if wrongdoing occurred, it should be exposed. And if it did not, that clarity should come through lawful process, not assumption. That is strength. That is principle. And that is why this case matters so deeply.